Hey, welcome to Banter Such. I'm Brando.
And I'm Owen.
And today we are talking about what makes a great character.
And we have some very special guests today from the Venture Forth podcast. We have Russ Bartek. Say hi.
Hello, hello.
And Shane O'Loughlin.
Hey, everybody.
Ooh.
What, did I say that right? Did I get it right?
Did you pronounce
Nice.
it?
You got it.
Yeah!
He
This
wasn't
is gonna be
practicing
good.
it before at all. That was the first
No,
time.
not one
no
single
preamble.
bit. No.
Just blasting him. Just blast. All right, this is going to be good. All right, let's get into some BS.
So today we're talking about what makes a great character, and we're going to be theming it a lot towards the D&D style characters and bringing some movies into that. But before we get into all this great talk we have with the bros from Venture Forth, we're going to give you guys a little heads up on some Helios Network stuff.
Yes, first of all, as always, I want you to check out the HeliosNetwork.com. We have amazing merch. Our cool stuff is up there. We got the Wasted Truth shirts. We have the stickers that I'm a big fan of, that I got all over my notebooks right now. In front of
do you
me.
have the new notebook?
Yeah, got my new
cool.
notebook,
Look at
brand
you.
new.
Yeah.
Look at all the notes I'm taking. So, and we got our pins, all fun stuff at theheliosnetwork.com.
And of course, if you'd like to support the show, check out our Patreon. Link is in the show description. It helps support us and get the Helios Network and Banter and Such out there better into the world and doing cooler and better stuff. As well, it gets you bonus content that we do every single week, which is called Bonus Banter, discounts and merch, stuff like that. And as well, you can vote on show topics.
Okay, now we're ready to jump into it, which I'm excited to because we have celebrity guests.
Yes.
Russell and Shane.
Oh, yeah.
You're from a legitimate actual show, not like this like shit show we're running here, but you guys are from a real actual podcast.
Too kind. You're too kind.
So why are you slumming it with us?
Yeah, show us your receipts today. Who are you and who is your daddy and what does he do?
My dad's the dean. I'm Shane. Shane O'Loughlin, as was stated. I'm the composer and editor and sort of like haughty artistic director of Venture Forth, a D&D podcast. Which is we are sort of in that vein of like our aim is to be this like prestigious Dungeons and Dragons experience, at the risk.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
At the major risk it is to do that on a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really like the idea of D&D as a storytelling medium, and like while the rolling is fun and it like helps move the story along, we really like the idea of just improvising with our characters and seeing what happens. And that's just been something that's been so much fun over the past almost 2 years now. Where we've
Almost
just
2
been
years.
playing,
Oh, wow, yeah.
playing these characters and just having a blast.
Yeah, what was it? March 2021 was your first episode release, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So we're talking about this idea of, because typically Owen and I mean, we just talk about all kinds of things, just generally. what we're
I mean,
interested in.
99% of the time it's movie related.
Movies
but-
and shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, but we've done conspiracy theories.
Yeah, we've done weird
Nice.
stuff before.
Very good.
We did an episode on all of D&D.
And all of D&D.
We talked
Yeah.
for 30
We had
minutes.
Kenley Shea from
Oh, you forgot the name of her show.
God, what
I'm
Sirens.
Giving, yeah, Sirens.
Sirens,
Oh,
yeah,
damn,
Sirens.
okay.
I think I've heard of that, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm familiar.
So
But
Yeah.
today, so the thinking was today, which is kind of like a topic that blends into movies and TV shows, but specifically D&D, because you guys are very much in this. Owen and I, more in an amateur sense, are into this, is what makes a great character. Like there's people say that like, story, people can follow stories and tell you the story, but at the end of the day, the thing that's going to hook you on a show or the thing that's going to hook you on a movie or even a game, whether you're listening to it or watching it or playing it yourself, is great characters. And so kind of like just generally, like what did you guys think of when I was like, because I know even Owen, you too, I kind of proposed this idea. I was like, what were you thinking? Like what came to mind when you were thinking of like, hey, let's talk about great characters? Were you thinking of like specific people or?
Oh, I mean, I always try to go back to, fantastic, not just TV shows, but also video games or even D&D games I played where it comes to character development, because that is something like, we always talk about like mindless entertainment, but at the same time, like I still want like a good character. to watch, someone that I care about. It doesn't need to necessarily be the good guy because, for instance, like you got Breaking Bad, where Walter White is the bad guy.
Yeah.
He is the bad guy of the show, but he is such an interesting character. And even when I was young and started playing D&D, I was always looking at characters that I was drawn to on the silver screen, if you will, and trying to translate that to my D&D characters early on. So that's something that has always been natural to me. So what I, as a DM, have always said was like, if I'm coming to like a new player that wants to play D&D with me, it's like, hey, take 2 of your favorite fictional characters and find a way to blend them into one to make your own unique character. And that's something I've always really, really liked. But in the D&D aspect of things, though, I want to go to our experts here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To
That
you
is us,
guys,
100%.
what? Yeah, 100%. Yeah. You guys have a PhD from D&D University.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
On character
cut to
creation.
me and Russell
PhD
pulling on our
and D.
suspenders.
Still
proudly,
paying off those loans,
And no one can see these guys right now, but they're the kind of nerds exactly how you imagine.
They're wearing fedoras.
Thick frame glasses.
My beard
they have
goes all the way
katanas.
down my neck. I'll tell you what. It's thicker on the neck than on the chin.
Yeah, that's really hot these days. The ladies love that thick neck beard.
Yep.
Just thick. No, but to you guys, like when you guys first sit down to start writing a character for yourselves, for you to play, or as if you guys have DM'd for dungeon mastering characters, what are like some of the first things that you guys look at or think about when it comes to creating a great character?
Well, I thought it's interesting you brought up the idea of smashing 2 characters from fiction together. We see a lot of stuff like this in the sort of D&D influencer sphere, where it's like, here's how you play Iron Man in D&D. Like, here's how you build the sheet that is this character. Right? That's like verbatim that character. But smashing the 2 characters together actually folds nicely into something that I always prioritize when I'm building a character, which is tension. I think because D&D is very long form, you spend a lot of time with these characters. You don't want them to be isolated to like one pillar of an identity. You want them to have a thing that they are constantly struggling between the poles of. And so that's what I'm always looking for, to have a character that's going to be fun to play for a long period of time. They have to be able to like bounce back and forth between certain things and not be just like a one note wonder. And that's my
I love that you bring that up, because like, in playing D&D, one of my least favorite people to play with is the stoic paladin. The lawful good, righteous. I'm always the good guy. And
that's who you play when you're a kid. Right? Like that's who we like play as.
Stern Brightblade.
When I pick up a stick and I'm a little and it's my sword, I'm the good guy,
Torbjorn
right? You want to be
Lichbane over here. That's it's first character as a paladin. Yeah.
But
man.
they tend to be they can be a little boring. Like if you're going to take like a straightforward good guy, like think of a movie. There are some movies like this where like, you have just a good guy who doesn't have any flaws and doesn't like there's no tension, but like they have to be in a really great circumstances or be surrounded by these great characters around them. But especially when in the D&D context, like you can't just be like the guy who gets along with everyone. You can't just be the guy who does the right thing,
It makes for such a boring story.
Right.
And that's one of the things I really like. You like about that tension that needs to be there. There needs to be some type of duality between them, right? You can't just be the lawful good paladin, because that sucks. Because if you have characters that are better written and better acted in the group, people are going to want to do things that aren't necessarily lawful good, and you can't just be like what was the A team, like Mr. T? They always had to like knock him out to put him on a plane. Like there's so many times we've had to do that in D&D with paladins.
Oh yeah, I've actually done that too. We had this is when I was playing at a store, and we had a paladin who basically just played a cop, like was like lawful good, played a cop.
God.
But the thing that was really cool was that he was also a voice actor, and he knew how to like have the nuance with the character. And I think you bring up this point of like not making a one-dimensional character by just being like, I'm always right and like I have to follow the law. But what's really cool is that once you build that character, the great thing about D&D is that there's always that room during the campaign to grow it. Right. So maybe later on down the line, there's a moment where the paladin does something immoral or to their standards, it's immoral. And then they have to battle with that and think, oh, am I redeemable? And then that's a whole character arc that is born from the campaign that's happening, which is something that again, that I keep falling in love with D&D because of that, is just because
Yeah.
it's so reactionary and creative, and it bounces off everyone else, and it's so much fun.
Point of
and
fact.
Russ,
Oh no, please go ahead.
go for it.
I was just going to say,
no, please.
Russ and I, both of our characters in Venture Forth are heroic. On a sort of, they're idealistic. They are very like passionate about doing the right thing, and our show is deeply entrenched in the examination of what it costs to be heroic and what the risks are and how hard it is to be heroic, like how much you kind of sacrifice, and even the people around you and the relationships around you, how everything else suffers if you're trying to do the right thing all the time. And so it's been really fun to explore that, because it seems like playing a lawful good character is kind of like gonna be boring, but there's a way to do it, especially if you have a good dungeon master, where if you constantly challenge that, it becomes more salient, more interesting, super fun.
Yeah, well, that lawful good character is like the kid in class who, like, at the end of class, and like the teacher's like, "All right, class dismissed," and they raise their hand and they're like, "Oh, you forgot take up the homework."
Yep.
And everyone's like, "Shut the fuck up!"
Wasn't there supposed to be a quiz today?
Like, I love how real world that is, because like it's true. Like, if you're gonna have integrity and like do the right thing, then you're gonna like file your taxes exactly correct, and you're gonna claim everything.
We here at the Helios Network truly believe in filing your taxes correctly.
Man, real talk, man. They are underfunded. The IRS is not coming after me, man.
Yeah.
I can put whatever I want on that form.
Brando speaks on behalf of himself and not the Helios Network.
Yeah.
Our little LLC is getting audited. Man.
So Shane, it sounds like you very much are looking for like tension when you're creating a character. Russ, what about you? Do you have like something that you kind of like a key essential element that you start when you start doing character creation, not just on the class and race side, but like story side, like where your character comes from?
Yeah, I mean, for the character that I had with Venture Forth, I had an idea for a long time of just wanting to play a character that was based off of a lot of TV show kind of movie-esque ideas that I had in my head. But whenever I'm playing a different character, I like to kind of leave it open, I think. And I'm really I like having like setting a few benchmarks and then just letting it ride through the campaign, and then letting the campaign drive how the character's built. So like I will build kind of like a one-dimensional to an extent, and then kind of on top of that put little things like maybe they like to paint, or they're a fisher, or they really enjoy this, or they hate lemon pastries, which is a nod to our podcast. But
I was about to say that was oddly specific.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
But it's like little things like that. Like I'll place in the character and then kind of just see how the character develops. Because the beginning of the campaign, my character is always different whenever it gets to episode 80. Like I feel like Flynn has grown so much and has changed so much. I think little things. I think a lot of my characters are built off of like things that I hear and see, whether it's TV, books, movies, and it's like, oh, that'd be cool if I played a character that did this. Not necessarily based off maybe a character, or it might spark an idea of something. And I think I like playing small characters, or just characters that challenge the typical flow. So like right now I'm playing a very small fighter, like a halfling fighter. So it's all based around dex in a guild where it's all strength based and being stoic. And I'm playing this dexy little bounce around halfling that is really upbeat and happy about life. And the whole guild that he's a part of is like downtrodden and stoic and serious about like doing what they need to get
the
done.
old grizzled warriors.
They're a bunch of badasses. Yeah.
So I think I guess in a roundabout way, that's probably what I like to do, is like I like to find those tropes and then like flip them on their head and like do something different with them, and to see what I can do and make it interesting.
Oh man, you just said a lot of interesting things now, because I know we've been talking about the movie thing, and it is true. Like, because you can take like, that's one thing that's cool about D&D is like think of a movie character or but then you put them in a new context.
Yeah,
and they can be very different, and you can make them your own. I like your idea of like mixing two characters too, but like I did that when we were doing Hammer and Helios. You know, my character was actually based on a Star Trek character,
Yes.
but you know, I kind of started in that place, and it just I know you hate Star Trek.
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
I have 2 Star Wars tattoos. All right, that should show you.
I don't
where
have any
my-
Star Trek tattoos.
I guess you're not that big of a fan.
I know, but like it's cool how like you said, like Russ, you were saying like, man, you start one way, but then you know there's the character arc, and it just kind of it goes where you don't know where it's gonna go. I mean, like when you're watching a movie, like I don't know where this is gonna go. I don't know where person's gonna end up. I mean, some things are predictable, but especially in D&D, like where it can get very unpredictable. I mean, have you guys heard about like the memes of how like either your group starts out very serious and you're a serious person, and then like after 100 sessions you're just playing pranks on each other, like farting on each other, or the reverse, you start out playing pranks and then by the end of it you're like killing God.
Yeah. I think that's really cool. That's like the cool thing about this game is that it goes so many different directions. So it can start off very serious or very funny and then lead into something else, and just like the ability to build on it, I think it's the thing that I fell in love with.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things we keep bagging on, like the lawful good, but you know, I to bring it back a little to movies too, I want to talk about probably the most interesting lawful good character that's ever graced comic books or even the silver screen.
Are you gonna say Superman?
No, fuck.
I was gonna say Captain America.
I was thinking Captain America.
It is Captain America.
Yeah.
It's
Captain America
He's like
is
my favorite
Superman.
character.
though.
No, he's not.
That's
It is
insane.
I can do
two
this all
very
night.
different things.
They just have different powers. That's the only difference.
No, they're
because
totally
if
different.
you look at it, Captain America, you know,
That first Captain America was the best Superman movie ever made.
I mean,
He is one of my favorites for
that's
sure.
I mean-
I really do like his character, and
you're not wrong.
just the end of Avengers, he just shines. Just like his like unwillingness to quit, just like brings a tear to my freaking eye. It's beautiful.
Well, there's something cool about the good character, and like it's funny because we mentioned Superman, but if you look at Captain America in the MCU, that's a good example where like a lot of lesser writers would try to like take that like you have Captain America, but then like he gets addicted to drugs or something. You know what I mean? You got to give him a flaw. You got to give him a character arc. They never did that with Captain America in the MCU, you know, and we kind of see that with some of the Superman, you know, kind of see that Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, where it's like, dude, you don't need to make him brooding. You don't need to make him depressed. You know, like it's okay to have a good guy, but it takes a lot more skill.
It does.
But you can still make that interesting and fun.
And his evolution's great because if you take him from like the lawful good paladin, right? Just like, I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to jump on that grenade. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, which was like, there was like a clear enemy, you know, in World War II.
Yeah.
Like, we are the good guys. We're the allies, and the Axis is the bad guys.
Yeah, black and white.
Got a
They're
big
very black and
skull
white, and then all of a
logo and
sudden
everything. Man.
Skull, and it's red, and we all know red is evil.
Yeah, basically always.
Yeah.
He's a literal Nazi.
Yeah, he's more Nazi than Nazi.
He out Nazi the Nazis.
Yeah.
They had to
Pretty
start
good
Hydra.
The Nazis were
They were like,
Nazi
"Whoa, dude,
for him.
relax."
Yeah, Hitler was like, "Hey, calm down, man."
Yeah.
But like, and then to jettison, quite literally, Captain America, 60 years into the future, according to comic books now, and then be like, hey, like, how do you still have that guy?
Yeah.
That wants to be that lawful good, that oak that won't bend in the wind, but still have him be interesting. And that's like one of the things I love is like dissecting that kind of things when it comes to character development.
Yeah.
And looking at it where you see him even like if we want to talk about the Chris Evans Captain America in the MCU, primarily you see him like he was lawful good paladin at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. But like where he is now, he definitely has kind of lost a little bit of the lawfulness if we want to use D&D
There's
terms.
more nuance to it.
Yeah, there's a lot more nuance to it where he still is there doing what is absolutely right and good. But now it's not necessarily always about like, oh, well, it's because the U.S. government said so.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he became an enemy of the state.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's part of what we were talking about earlier about the tension is when we're playing a character or writing a character or anything or creating a character like that's going to be good, when you put them in a real world situation where the world is not always good, that's going to create tension. And I think that's fun to play that kind of character too in D&D where it's like, I'm a good guy and I'm going to do the right thing, but that's going to piss everybody off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, that's a critical element of D&D, right, is you don't know what the DM is going to bring. You don't really know. Like you might have your DM might give you a handout about their world, and you could read all 400 pages of it, right? But there's still going to be elements that
I kind of feel personally attacked right now.
He handed us a binder this big, guys. This is like this is inches long.
That's how I feel every time I send anything about my character to our DM Ethan. I just feel like, oh man, here's another thing he's gonna have to read. And I feel so
here's
bad.
another
But it's
catalog.
like, you need to know this.
Yeah, it's like, hey DM, could you internalize this for when I bring it up in 3 sessions from now?
Here's something else you need to memorize, and if you don't memorize it, it's gonna throw everything off.
Brando, are you listening to what they're saying? Because this is what Brando did to me.
I'm so bad about like my character. I play loose and fast with my character. I'm much more interested in like the personality and like kind of the acting and role playing of it. Like when it comes to like rules of what my class can actually do, those are things that I don't really care much about. I'm like,
actually, that's a good
I want to do
point,
this
because I think like in D&D in general, I feel a lot of people are like turned off by it because they feel they're worried about all the rules and all the mechanics, and like they don't know how to do everything, and like, oh, there's too much math, or there's all this other. And I feel like that's a really good point you just made. It's just like, don't worry about it, because that's what the DM's there for. And I think that's something that I learned in my short career of a few years of just like playing D&D, of just like let the DM know what you want to do, and then just kind of roll with it, and just see what they say. Oh, they're going to tell you what to roll if you need to roll anything. And I think that's something that's really cool to know, you know.
We have a druid in our party. He's an Aarakocra druid, and his like go-to expression is, "May I stretch the bounds of druidcraft again to do X, Y,
Go
Z."
with me on this. Go with me on this, Ethan.
Has to sigh wearily and you know, see if it's gonna be okay. So yeah, that's definitely a feature.
That's when you reach the definitions of things. Is like, what is the absolute minimal thing that I need to be considered a druid?
Yeah,
it's like you don't even use any magic. You're fighting with a sword. What are you doing?
Well, they're referring to the actual spell called Druidcraft.
Well, but what I'm saying is like in you take it whether we're gaming or in movies or anything, is you take that character and you stretch them to their limits. You kind of break them outside of the mold, and you know that's really fun. It's fun to play. It's also fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, Quentin Tarantino, I forgot in what interview he said this, and we should start like a count for the amount of times I bring up Quentin Tarantino.
We should start a count for the amount of times I say we should do a Quentin Tarantino episode.
Yeah,
you haven't yet.
He's my favorite director.
We haven't.
Yeah,
we're like 100 episodes in. We haven't done a Quentin Tarantino.
I mean, our first episode ever, we did talk about it, but he talked about in an interview, like his favorite thing is why he, in Inglourious Bastards, in that first scene between Christoph Waltz and the guy that has the
French
Jewish
guy.
family. That scene is 22 minutes long.
Oh yes,
and he talks about how like he likes to think of it like a band, like not a Band-Aid, but a rubber band, and like how far can he possibly stretch that rubber band, and that's the tension, that's the drama, and that's one of the things I really like to bring up when it comes to character development. And Shane, you even brought it too. It's like the farther that you can stretch that rubber band, that character development, you know, the better off it's going to be, because when it finally snaps, it makes it so juicy. Yeah, right. Like if you take that tension from whatever your character, it doesn't have to be the lawful good character. Yeah, it could be chaotic good, whatever, or evil, if you want to be that way. But it's like once you finally snap, though, and you know, it's like, whoa, where does this character go from there?
Yeah, but let me ask this though: is how do you do that without pissing people off? Like you know, that tension. And I'm, you know, the guy that I'm chaotic. I rush into things. I have flaws. You know, I'm making the wrong decision. All these things that are interesting and fun for me, you know, or for whoever's playing it, or fun to watch in a movie. How do you in a group setting where you're playing a game? How do you not just get on everyone's nerves? Or maybe you do. I don't know.
Go ahead, Shane.
I mean,
Shane, you smirked real big right there for a second.
We have answers for you. Don't even worry. We are the experts after all. So just sit back.
We have tested every theory that you've proposed here in an episode of our show. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, what we played for, we were gonna launch our podcast, and then the pandemic happened, and we were like, okay, we'll wait until this is over to start, and then there was no end, and so then we launched like 6 or 7 months later. But what that gave us was like a lot of time to sort of practice and just play together, and because we had just sort of added people to the group and we were still figuring out the dynamic. And we
How big is your group?
We are currently 7 people, including the DM.
Okay,
It's pretty.
so that's a big
sizable.
group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it accumulated over time. We started with 5, and then we were 4 for a bit, and now we're 7. Or sorry, we were 6, 5, and now 7. Anyways, the nice thing about that is you start to get a sense of what people's tendencies are and if they want to do that kind of thing. And we have very intentionally had conversations outside of our game sessions where we go, hey, like when this happens, that puts pressure on the rest of us to respond a certain way. And so like, it takes these kind of difficult conversations to say like, hey, let's make sure everybody gets, their spotlight moment in an episode, for example, like, and let's all be attentive to, when it's not our time to do the thing, even if we have a great idea that we really want to do, like give people their space. And then the other side of that is like communicate. So we have a lot of very tense arguments in character on our show. Like our sort of like go-to rule is,
and it's real. Like you're really mad at each other.
Really mad.
But you're just mad in character. Yeah.
It gets very
use
very
it.
stressful.
Use this.
Hate does not describe how sometimes I feel.
Loathe entirely would be
Yes, exactly.
Man, yeah, we've had
how I
some
would
dark
describe
nights
my
of the
feeling
soul.
for my fellow
But I think
players.
to piggyback on that, I think something that's really important in any campaign, and I guess what Shane was kind of getting at is we did have that time, that buffer to practice, and I think for any D&D group or anyone that's looking to play D&D that's listening right now, like it's not going to be perfect, and the most important thing you can do is just communicate. That if you're the DM running a new game with a new group, communicate some ground rules, communicate what's okay and what's not okay to do in game, whether that be like rated whatever kind of stuff. And then if anyone has a problem, it's always important to bring that kind of stuff up. And I think communication is really important because it allows you to build the group that you guys want to have. And I think that's kind of what we were able to do. And what was kind of a silver lining for our podcast was the ability to have that little pre-podcast campaign that we did with completely different characters and just learn how we play with each other and talk to each other when something came up, And I think that's one of the best things that I could give as advice for anyone worrying about rules or if you're gonna piss someone off or whatever it is or upset someone.
Yeah, it's so to kind of get like distill that down, it's kind of like you're saying like, hey, like, best laid plans and all is great for your character, but like your character is a living person essentially. So you need to like go with the ebbs and flow of not just the campaign, but the table itself.
Right.
Yeah. The give and take. There's this expression, Russ and I both come from like an acting background. And in the acting school, there's this expression that got thrown around that was hold on tightly, let go lightly. And I always think of it because you do all this work preparing your character. You have this really cool backstory. You're like, this is the hill my character will die on. This is their one principled thing. And then something happens in the session where that can no longer be the case, right? And it's either are you gonna ruin the game for everybody, or are you gonna change your character behind the scenes without anybody knowing and have a new character that evolves from the circumstance, So that's
and I love how like it's that same old answer also of like communication, like any kind of interpersonal dynamic, whether you're like creating characters in D&D or like in a marriage. It's just like, hey, just talk to each other, sit down and talk to each other, tell people how you feel, tell people what you want. That is just it's impossible to over communicate in really any context. Unless you're in a podcast and you talk too much.
I think another
way
thing
too much.
that I don't know who said, somebody said something that made me think about it, but I feel like D&D is such an interesting medium of storytelling is because it's ongoing. So like if you're reading a book, there is an end. If you're watching a TV show, there will be an end. I think TV show might be something similar because there's all that time, right? And I think a good way to think about it too is like if we break it down to like a combat scenario, it's like if I don't get to kill the monster, that's okay. There's going to be another fight, right? So if I don't get to do my cool thing now, instead of pushing and trying to ruin the game, just put in the back of my head like, oh, there's next week's session or there's next session or I'm going to run into this again. If it's not concluded or it didn't end the way I wanted to, we still have time. Like campaigns go for years. Yeah. So it's like, that's something else that's always in the back of my head too, that makes it so it's just like, whatever, I didn't get to kill it, Kellic did or whatever. It's like, cool. That's,
you bet I did.
And I think another thing I think Shane kind of mentioned is just share the spotlight, because I want to.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone at the table has seen it, but I feel like I'm very like I love for when my party members do cool stuff, and it just makes me so happy. So like I want Shane or Kelly
You're the guy
to kill.
who sets up the spike.
Yeah,
right?
I want you to kill the character. I want to be able to help you do cool things, because then we're all having fun. And I think just knowing that the game is ongoing and it's there's going to be another moment where I can do something cool. I'm cool with that. I'll wait for them.
Well, I mean, you're even touching on something even in the medium of movies and shows and stuff too, is that like for there to be a great character to do like a great thing, like to have that great moment, there's often another character who's setting them up.
Yeah.
There's another character who, like, if they're going to spike the ball, they didn't just do that in a vacuum by themselves. If you notice, there are other characters around them who like that set them up in that situation perfectly. And then when everything happens, it's just so satisfying. And you're just like, yeah.
I'm actually,
and I mean, that brings up
remembering a part.
great
Sorry,
point. Go for it. No.
I'm just remembering a part before we move on. I just want to say, Shane, remember that part in the game where you turned everyone to, it was like mud creatures. You turned them all, you took the water out, which completely threw off our DM. With
We were
this
fighting
amazing
mud
use
monsters.
Go ahead.
I used destroy water to remove the water from the mud monsters.
Yeah, and it made them all
nice
frozen.
It made them, big sand golems basically, and then Russ literally just ran through them. So it was just like, you get really fun cinematic moments if you kind of have that spirit about it. Yeah.
Well, we've mentioned a lot about, the intersection of movies and D&D also, but like, do you think like there's like movie characters that don't work well in a D&D setting?
Ooh, yeah. Like, is there a certain trope that you just hate to have at the table?
Here's the thing. I will defend to the bitter end your right to play a broody rogue.
That's what everyone thinks. Yes.
Everybody. Okay. People are like, everybody hates that guy because they've played with a guy who literally sits down at the table and doesn't do anything the entire session because they're brooding, right?
Yeah.
That's not fun. That's just some
I'm
guy
a loner.
The loner.
I'm a loner with a dark background.
Yeah.
Wolverine's my favorite comic book character.
I don't need anyone.
Yeah. Wolverine's a great example because Wolverine is he's so fucking cool. He's super capable. He can totally make it on his own, right? But he has all these awesome character flaws that mean he has to rely on other people or he'll be exiled. He is on a team.
Yes.
So find a way for your whatever that character is to coexist with people, however begrudgingly. I think there's.
I mean, as well, the number one X-Men bad guy can fuck up Wolverine in a heartbeat. It's Magneto.
Totally, yeah.
So he needs other people.
The most fought bad guy in the X-Men universe
controls
is
metal.
Wolverine's worst nightmare.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it too. It's like, because at the end of the day, D&D is a cooperative game. Like, there is going to be moments where you can like do cool stuff by yourself, like whether that's the rogue that's brooding sneaks off and does a cool stealth mission, or the fighter gets to fight a bunch of things and come out victorious, or the cleric gets to heal that person and bring them back from the brink of death. But there's, at the end of the day, you're all a party and you're helping each other out, and that's a cool way to remember, like, hey, we're having fun together.
Because it's something like this.
I don't have friends. I got family.
Yeah, family.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I was going to bring it up, and we kind of just naturally got there, which is great. Is that's the thing too, is when it comes to creating characters, and not just even the D&D world, but if you are writing a script, a book, or whatever, you just are bored on a drive to your job, and you're thinking about like, hey, like, what would a cool character be like? It's like you got to think about it too. Is it can't just be a lone character, because a lone character is boring in and of itself, because there's nowhere to evolve or have that tension and build. Because that's one of the things I always like to bring up too, is like, it's like, hey, you can't be that brooding rogue and then at the end of the session be pissed that no one interacted with you, your story didn't happen or anything like that. It's because you can't just sit in a corner and skulk, and it's like, oh, well, there's no one for me to fucking stab right now. So I guess I'm just going to keep sitting here and sipping my mead. But it's like, yeah, you got to remember, it's like, in order to have a character, you need to have them be interacting with other people.
Yeah.
I will say it's,
and then all right,
it's also like okay if you want to play a campaign where it's very combat heavy. Like, if you want to play a campaign where you want to just do a bunch of damage and stab people, D&D, there is a space for that. But like, if you want to have a story like what we're talking about, you need to. There's a little give. You need like give and take. Like, If someone does end up coming up to the corner of the bar where you're sitting, don't just completely shut down and don't say anything to them. Maybe give them something to work with. You know,
even if it's just the
Yeah.
playfulness of like you trying to ignore them and not being able to, right? Like there's play in there. There's
So
fun in there.
I've done that as a DM. I have had characters that have been that brooding, not necessarily rogue, but just brooding character
Sure,
that doesn't
yeah.
want to talk to anybody.
An orc.
So I will 100% create an NPC that cannot be ignored and does not want to be ignored. And it will be the antithesis of that. And we're like, you're sipping. And I'll be like, hey, like a little gnome, like trickster illusionist comes up and starts talking to you. He's like, hey, what are you doing? What's that? Hey, and
That's
like,
that
if-
odd
It's like
couple.
the guy
thing.
when you're on
Yeah,
break
but
at
it
work,
forces
he just
them.
comes up and keeps talking. Like, I just want to eat my lunch before I have to get back. Like, can you just
Like,
not
I'm just trying to eat my sandwich,
watch
man.
this YouTube
Yeah.
video.
I'm on TikTok.
Well,
Leave me alone.
I mean,
the meaning of life. Why are you asking me those questions on my break, man? Try to turn my brain off.
Oh yeah, right.
But those are the negative things, like, whereas in real life, those are negative consequences. But, you know, in stories and with characters, that's what makes things really interesting. I read this really interesting post online where they were saying, like, hey, you know, my friend wrote this character where, like, the city worshipped these birds. And they
Birds
believed,
aren't real, though.
Yeah, exactly. They're
Yeah,
not real.
they're
They're
not real.
Fantasy
They're
concept.
government conspiracy. But in the fantasy, these birds were
Okay.
real, and they worship these birds and they see them as sacred. And then it's like, well, what are the natural consequences? What are the negative sides of that?
Yeah.
And don't lean away from that. Lean into it, because, well, if you worship birds, that means you probably have birds everywhere. There's probably bird shit everywhere all
Yeah.
over your city. And it's like, but then if there's bird shit everywhere, then there's probably a industry of like people cleaning constantly.
Mm,
And then maybe they're collecting this bird shit and it's like, it's sacred.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Guano!
Bird shit fanatics.
Yeah, guano, you know? Yeah, and then maybe, you know, your city actually develops like healthy sanitation because of the negative thing. You know, like where these negative things end up being part of the fun and part of what's interesting about your characters.
Yeah,
Whereas in the real world, that would suck.
And that's one of the things I also was thinking about when we were talking about this concept was what your character has does not define them. It is what your character is lacking.
Oh,
Right?
sure,
Is
yeah.
that
Yeah.
is
Flaws are
what's
the
most
best.
important.
Flaws are the best.
Because if
Yeah.
you know, to bring it back to that lawful good paladin, right? You know, it's like, cool, we all know what you're doing, but what you're lacking is actual morality. Because like there's a whole, like, if a kid steals a loaf of bread from a baker in order to feed himself because he will starve to death if he doesn't, like you present that to the paladin, and like all of a sudden now it's like, yeah, the lacking was the morality there, right? So it's like
Mhm.
those are the situations that are going to make your character really interesting. So you can't have a John Wick character that just is naturally good at everything, or the Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible
Yeah.
character. You need to have them make sure that like they have things that are lacking from their repertoire and from their personality in order to make them even more interesting.
Well,
Yeah,
Brando,
yeah.
you mentioned earlier, like what movie character wouldn't work in D&D, right? And thinking about it, like this isn't an absolute answer, because I actually don't think there are any absolutes when it comes to D&D. It's such a flexible system. But like Superman is a
Wow,
character
you're such a Jedi.
that struggles a lot in film adaptations, and even in some of the comics, right? He's a character that is difficult to tell a compelling story with because he's so powerful and so good,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so it's like that's the kind of like the thing to try to avoid when you're creating your D&D character is like, even if he's really good at, even if I rolled insanely well when I built my character sheet, like there has to be an Achilles heel, something that
Yeah.
makes this character not exhaustingly competent compared to the entire team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we did an episode several weeks ago on Back to the Future, and like we noticed how like Marty McFly does not change throughout the whole movie. Like in the first movie, he has no character arc. There's zero character
Yeah.
arc. Like he's a good guy. He's charming. He's capable. He's competent. He fights the bullies, all that stuff. So he's a great guy. There's nothing wrong with him, and he doesn't change. But the same, like with Superman, what you have to do is you have to, like, they change the people around them and they change the world around them. And you can do that if you're writing a movie. You can do that if you're
Yeah.
writing a story, because you're in control of everything.
Well, doesn't
right?
not
But when
not
you're
to not to cut you there, but doesn't Marty McFly eventually back down from a fight? Isn't that his biggest?
Yeah, well, that's in the third one. In the third one, he
but
does.
not within the first movie. Forgive me.
Yeah, but not just within the first one. He's just start to finish the same dude.
Sure, yeah.
But the thing is you can change the world around you when you're the writer. You're essentially, or maybe if you're the DM.
Sure.
But when you're playing D&D, the only one you have control over is your character. So you have to have flaws. You have to have do you guys go into when you're creating your characters, do you go in specifically here's what I'm bad at, here's what my flaws are?
Yeah.
Do you want to speak to that, Russ?
For Flynn, I had some flaws. I don't know. Gullible is one of them, and just innate an optimism of just being able to always be positive, and then that's also changed, and now he's having some kind of problems with just what's right and wrong, and now that's kind of something where he's second guessing himself most of the time, and it's is this the right thing to do? Am I doing the right thing? It was even more so in the beginning of the campaign, just trying to figure out what the right answer is. So I love building flaws into my character, and I feel there's something to make it interesting, which I think is kind of a through line that we've had throughout this conversation so far.
Yeah, it becomes important to keep refocusing on that too, because D&D is such a long game. You do have to be hey, where am I at with that gullibility or that cheeriness or whatever? What's this character's journey been so far, and where do I want to go with it, and where does my DM want to go as well?
Yeah. I played a character once where his major flaw was he just lied about everything. He always lied, and he couldn't be vulnerable. He couldn't, and honesty was a vulnerability, and so he just lied even when he didn't need to lie. And I think I just rode that because I was having so much fun with that. But I think everyone else at the table was really, after a while, I was like, hey, seriously, what happened? And I was just, I couldn't give a straight answer.
I eventually had to call Brando one day because I was the DM for this. I'm like, hey, man, I get the character concept and it's great. But now the players are actually getting frustrated with you a little bit because they're wanting to build story with you, and you just lying can't allow that to happen.
Well, I mean, that just makes me think of you essentially, my character was essentially villainous.
Oh yeah.
And I think of these bad characters. Oh, and you mentioned Breaking Bad earlier about how Walter White he's a bad person. Walter White is bad, but I love those characters because I just watched through Mad Men.
Don Draper's another one.
Yeah, he's not a good guy. And I remember telling you years ago when I watched it the first time through, I was like, dude, I love Mad Men. I love Don Draper. Such a cool character. And he's like, doesn't he just cheat on his wife and he's a jerk all the time? What's wrong with you? And I was like, oh yeah. And I didn't realize at the time, it's I love the character, but that doesn't mean that I like what they do.
Yeah.
It's almost the exact opposite. It's I hate what they do, but that's what makes me love them.
I mean, another great one is Lannisters from Game of Thrones, right? I fucking loved the Lannisters, and it's not because they're good characters, or good in morality and ethics. It's because they are so well written characters, and they're so evil, but they're so just interesting to watch. And also, I think they had some of the best actors of Game of Thrones were part of the Lannister family.
Doesn't hurt that they're super hot.
Yeah, also true too. I mean, even Charles Dance, man.
Oh boy, yeah, dude.
Anyways, so we got to get into trivia here in a moment, but before we do, I want to ask you guys one last question. I brought it up at the very beginning of I like to take two different characters, fictional characters, and try to combine them. So on the spot right now, I want each one of you to take a turn and be like, hey, if you could, let's say your guys' character in Venture Forth dies.
Oh boy.
The next character you play, what two characters would you want to mesh together in this idea to be hey, this would be an interesting combo. I did for one, Brandon, you're going to be very surprised by this. I combined Superman and Sabretooth was my personality and traits that I wanted. Someone highly capable and one in they have the morality of Superman, but in Sabretooth was very bestial. And so it was when got angry would immediately just go straight to action. And so it was hey, this is kind of a cool pull back and forth. So for you guys, what would be two fictional characters you want to play as in a D&D character?
I think I have an idea, and it might not be the best, but this is just off the top of my head. I've been really thinking because the one class that I haven't really played a lot is Warlock, and it's something I'd really love to do because I feel it's really fun to give the DM complete control over my backstory or whatever happens is you're my god basically. And so I've been always thinking I love the simple country boy kind of down to earth. I just do my thing. And I think the two characters that I would like to put together, and again, this might be terrible, but the Red Dead Redemption main character, I can't remember his name, but that serious.
The first one?
The first, and I think he's the main protagonist in both of them. I can't remember his name.
No, it's a different guy. Arthur in the second one.
Arthur's in the second one. So Arthur, and then I can't remember the actor's name. We were talking about this earlier, Shane, but Stranger Things, Dave Hopper, is that his name?
Harbor. David Harbor?
Yeah, the character and the cop, and like meshing those two together and making a warlock where they're like this cool, calm collective, but also just trying to figure shit out. And like maybe has like an alcohol problem, and it's just and maybe the alcohol problem is because of there's a deity that he made a deal with that he's not maybe 100% sure was a good idea. And I think that would be such an interesting character to play a warlock for. But that's what I was thinking off the top of my head. But Shane,
I like.
I don't know
that.
if you have one.
Yeah, thank you for you gave me a lot of time to think about it.
Thought, yep, come up with something good.
Yeah, well, here's where just what I went to for what we have. Dumbledore and Boromir. So somebody who is super knowledgeable, powerful, revered, and somebody who is cowardly, has a chip on their shoulder, is trying to prove themselves to everybody. Just the pull between those two poles of this person's actually really, really capable, but he doesn't think anybody believes him. and also when the moment syndrome comes to serve the thing, he's too scared to actually use the power that he has. Something like that. Yeah.
I love that.
Dude, that is awesome.
I love that.
You thought of that on the spot? Jeez, this is why these guys have a successful
100%. I love the
Holy
idea
shit.
of like a warlock that the patron is like so like messed up that it's like I have to drink in order to sleep because I don't want to remember my dreams. And I love the idea of like having a character that's like, I know I'm probably like the most important person here, but I truly don't believe it.
Well, I'm going to make you answer it too. I want to make you answer your own question.
I just did. I did the same. I gave you the same.
Okay,
and I did that.
Are you going to go with that?
Yeah.
Well,
my
give us
answer
an idea too. I want to hear what you
Do you have
got.
any?
I have
So,
one.
anyways,
I have one.
it's trivia time. No.
Oh, okay. We're copping out. Okay, cop out. Okay.
I'm gonna one up the venture forth guy. See if I can.
Okay.
My two characters would be
Superman and Superman.
No, Superman and Clark Kent.
Superman and Wolverine.
Let me guess, lawful good.
And, no, I would mix Bugs Bunny and James Bond.
Okay.
And and it would be like a character who is like has no problem with like mercilessly just killing people and is very competent and can like perform the mission, but gets distracted all the time in the spy hijinks and like and infiltrating and interacting with other characters and postpones. And like, you know what I mean?
Like
It's
that.
totally not.
So MacGruber?
Yeah.
You'd be MacGruber?
Was that what that was? Is it already a character?
I like the idea that instead of going to Q for all of his technology, Bond has to go to Acme and just get it.
Yes. Yeah, maybe he works for Acme.
This
You know?
screams Bard, Rogue, Multiclass.
That's right.
Oh, gosh.
Maybe a couple
What is it?
levels of artificer.
Bard College
Yes,
of Whispers and a rogue assassin.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for indulging me.
That's great.
I love it. All right.
Love it.
It's trivia time.
Man, I love the fact that our two guests here were bopping to our trivia song.
It's a good track.
Isn't the
banger,
trivia
man.
song great?
Everybody like without like because Brett and I was like sitting there.
Yeah.
We're bopping to it too.
You can't
I mean,
help
I'll say, if Shane's bopping, that's a good sign because he's our audio composer for all of the music on the podcast. So if he likes it, that's a good sign.
Affirmation.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's very nice.
Well, sadly, last week we did an episode that was called "The Best Sequels of All Time," and Brad and I settled the debate on what is the best sequel. And in trivia, I lost.
Yes.
So
I won last week. So
I have
Owen's-
to spin the
gotta
wheel of shit.
Okay.
the wheel of
yes.
bad stuff.
So, all right, you ready, Brando?
Yeah, go.
All right. Oh God, what
This
did
is
I get?
motivation to get the trivia questions right. What does it even say?
What? Whitney? Oh, we do hit Whitney Houston.
We're not
way
doing
too
Whitney
much.
Houston again.
Yeah. All right. There we go. Hot sauce. I got to do hot sauce. We do that one a lot too. But yeah.
So hey,
So
so what's
when
on
we-
the shot of hot sauce?
Oh, yeah.
Of-
We're gonna get a video of this shot.
Yeah.
All right, do it, baby.
Enjoy.
Cheers.
I'm so glad we're not doing that, Shane.
Oh,
look
yeah,
at
no
that
thank
face.
you.
Look
He's
at
making a
that
face.
face.
No, just
Oh.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
He's throwing up everywhere. There's puke on the
All right.
mic.
It's on
Now
brand.
everyone has a
Oh,
reason.
Oh God. I'm gonna chase this with some
There you
Jaeger.
go. That'll help. That'll help.
Am I allowed to do that, Brando?
Yeah,
Okay.
go for it. I feel
how
bad.
firm
for
are
you.
your hot sauce
This gives
rules?
everyone a reason. This gives everyone a reason to check out our Instagram because you have to see this video I just took of Owen's sour face.
Oh, it's bad. All right. So
Trivia is going to be weird today because
Yeah.
typically we talk about like a specific topic or a specific movie or show or something, but today we're just talking about the concept of characters. So I don't know how this trivia is going to go.
We
Yeah.
put something together. We
who would like to
hopefully
ask the first question?
Yeah, hopefully it's fun
All right.
and not just like stupid, but no
Yeah.
no guarantees.
Well, welcome to Banter Such, where everything is stupid.
Love that.
We don't make that guarantee in our
Yeah,
shows.
yeah.
So you guys will just ask, and Owen and I will answer at the same time. We'll just shout it out. So
Awesome.
or he'll cough it out. So give it to us, baby.
Okay,
Let's
Russ,
start us off.
you want to pick one, or you wanna...
Yeah, if you want to start off with the first one that we talked about.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. So this
I
is
think
our
it's a good
most this is our most esoteric. It's all downhill from here. This one has like a definitive answer. Okay, so maybe
Starting
that's
off
good,
strong.
but who knows? In Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, what
God
is
damn
the
it.
second phase? And there's a hint here if that's way too out of left field.
No. Don't give the hint.
Okay.
I think I know the answer.
Okay,
This what's the second phase?
Yeah. and this is the second of the
Uh,
12 steps, not the second of the, I think it's 3 chunks, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I know the answer.
Oh,
So this is the rise and fall of the hero's journey.
Yes,
Yeah.
as documented
just
by
the
Joey
hero's
Cam.
journey.
Yeah.
Joey
Sorry,
King.
I'm seeing stars right now.
Is
Yeah,
that
you're
your
whatever
under
could
a
that
lot of
be?
pressure.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Well, you answer. You just answer.
Oh,
this.
the call to action.
I was gonna say the inciting incident.
Oh man!
it's close.
So it is the step after the call to adventure, which is interestingly refusal of the call to adventure.
Oh shit, that's right. Yeah.
Oh.
No. All right.
Look at me. I was so cocky, man.
Which
Maybe you should have some hot sauce.
it's something that's kind of interesting because D&D is so much about, like accepting the call, but it is like the reluctance
Yes, and.
is something so quintessential, right? That
Mhm.
it's like, oh, I have to go on
Yeah.
this hero's journey. Damn it.
I was thinking of Bilbo Baggins, Lord of the Rings. Just like eventually, he doesn't want to leave the
Yeah.
Shire,
Yeah.
doesn't want anything to do with this stupid ring, and then that's what makes it so much better.
Han
Yeah.
Solo, another great
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. He doesn't want to
No.
help out the rebels. He's just doing his own. But then when they actually do
They
it,
give
then
him-
it
they
makes
have
it
a
so
big
much more
hug.
satisfying. You're like,
Is
yeah.
there like something like that with
You
Star
go,
Trek
Bilbo!
that you could think of with Star Trek, or is it no because Star Wars is just better?
Oh, God, dude. How dare
No,
you.
they get their distress call and they always answer it. They're not reluctant at all. They're
Okay,
Starfleet
Picard.
officers.
Jesus, go play your flute.
I had to do a little poke. I'm sorry. I'm
Well,
sorry.
there's
know,
a
it's
lot
okay.
of
It's-
there's a lot
I know,
of
it's all
political
good.
reluctance in Star Trek, and it's about do you obey the
There you
Starfleet
go.
command or do you not?
Yeah.
I mean, I love Chris Pine just as much as the other guy.
Just the other guy. William Shatner.
Did you see the pun that I
although,
did there?
although I
The
will,
Shatner.
hey,
It's like the- yeah.
if you go in Chris Pineverse, that first Star Trek movie with Chris Pine, he doesn't join Starfleet until he's like
That's
forced
right.
to.
Yep.
Yeah, same deal.
And it's
Yeah.
the best Star Trek movie ever.
That movie fucking rules.
It's good.
It's really
It
good.
is.
Thank you.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
All right, question
All
number
right,
2.
so question number 2. I'm just going to go down the line, and again, these questions, some of them may be a little bit subject to what we thought the correct answer would be.
Okay.
Just a disclaimer.
we love subjectivity
Maybe
here.
we'll get credit for who gets.
So basically,
the
it's whoever we
closest.
like more is going to get the point.
That's right. Yeah. Your popularity contest.
Oh, here, let me fix my hair.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, how do I look?
question number 2. What's the only wrong way to play Dungeons and Dragons?
Ooh. The only wrong way.
Sober.
Very true. I love that.
Man,
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great question.
I do think I have an answer. Like a true answer.
I think I have an answer.
All right, Brando, you go first on.
I would
on
say
this
like
one.
unengaged.
Ooh.
Like you have to engage in the call. You have to, you know, the reluctance you talked about. Like you can't just be like,
That's a-
no,
oh,
you know,
man.
you can't be unengaged.
That's
You
a
have
good
you
one.
have to like get in there. And be
Owen,
a
what do you
part of it.
think?
I was gonna say alone.
What do you mean?
Well, you can't play it.
Yeah.
Just you and the DM.
It's just you.
Just
Yeah,
by
it's just
yourself.
you. You're the dungeon master and the
Oh,
four characters.
we had.
Nice. I think that's called writing.
I think Shane. I think there is someone that got a good answer.
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I would give it. Yeah.
So we put down having a bad attitude, the spotlight stealer, being toxic, or being too cool for it. So Brando, I believe we would give you a
Ooh,
point
yeah.
for the being the
All
brooding person
right.
that doesn't want to engage with the party. Because
Yeah,
it is
or
again,
being,
it's a
or
very
being somebody
cooperative
that's
game.
like, this is silly. I'm not gonna play
Right.
pretend with you guys. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
sit here
Yeah.
making jokes. It's like,
Mhm.
okay.
You're too cool for school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go save the farmer's daughter.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
D&D is part of the zeitgeist
God.
now. It's cool. Shut the fuck up.
I cannot just tangent. I cannot stand players that are like, I already know this dungeon, and so I'm not gonna engage with the puzzle. I'm just gonna insta solve it because
Yeah.
you know, like that is like a nightmare. for
Oh,
me.
God.
makes me
Yeah.
makes me
Metagame.
so mad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's pretend. It's pretend, guys.
Yeah.
Just be pretend. Yeah.
Okay, so
All right, bring it,
so
baby.
Owen's our DM, so he's gonna have this one, I think.
He might have this one, yeah.
And this is for character.
You
We've
just
been talking
jinxed me,
about how to
thanks.
make a compelling character. This is character construction,
Mhm.
but it also kind of folds into that. So in the player's handbook, which is the like primary handbook for
I
being a
already
PC.
see it.
Yeah.
You're not going to the next question.
You're done
Never
for,
read
Brando. What are three background choices of the many? Can you name three examples of a background choice for it?
You might be able to stumble into
Oh,
this, too.
yep.
It's true.
Yeah.
You could probably
I can
just
name.
name.
I
some
think I can
stuff.
name three.
And then Owen, make sure that
Yeah,
Brando's not
all
looking
right.
up things on the internet right now. Make sure no one's cheating.
No.
Brando, you
You're
just
just
go
going
Owen's
through the-
I'm
computer.
not cheating. Hey, I cheat the IRS, not Banter
No,
Such.
no D&D Beyond up right
All
now.
right.
All right, Brando, give us three backgrounds from D&D 5e
Okay,
PHB.
you are going to be able to do
Yes,
this, right?
100%.
Okay, I think I can do
Okay.
it. I think noble is a background.
That's one.
That's one.
I think orphan is a background. And no, not orphan, like street urchin.
There you go. Yeah,
You got it, yeah.
I was gonna
Yeah.
give you
Street
it.
urchin.
It
Nice
is
switch.
urchin is the other one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And a third one, oh no, is it like just a general laborer, or like a blue collar, just like a field
Is
worker?
that your
or
final
anything? Is
answer?
General laborer.
Yes.
General. There's guild
the
merchants.
general
Is kind of what
labor
you're going
Merchant.
for.
Yeah.
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 Or
yeah.
mysterious background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, so yeah, you're right. You have street urchin. You have soldier.
Yeah, I was gonna say
soldier,
soldier's a
entertainer,
gimme.
and
Soldier
a
is
sub
fine,
one
yeah.
of entertainer is gladiator, folk hero, hermit, scholar.
Maybe we should have made it
how
five,
many
Shane.
more can I-
Well, Brandon almost got
Killing me.
three.
Killing
Yeah,
me.
yeah, that
you
was
know.
good. That was good.
Yeah. Yeah. Outlander. That's a great
Outlander's
one. A
good.
lot of people
That's a
play
big
Outlanders.
barbarian
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Brando, I am gonna give you a point because general laborer, it is like guild
There we go.
merchant. So
Okay.
yeah,
Guild
I'll
arson
give you
kinda,
it. So
yeah.
it's 2
I
to
went
1.
with the
I'll
UPS
take the
driver
charity.
background. That's my.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I make minimum wage at a fast food restaurant. I'm gonna save that farmer's daughter.
I'm the Uber driver background.
That's right. Oh, God.
I play
Everybody get in. We're going on an
I play a
adventure.
cavalier fighter. So,
That's right. With an Uber driver background.
with the horse and everything. A whole fucking.
Your horse is named
Yeah,
Uber.
yeah. And then later on, I'm able to cast fly on it, and we call it what? Lift. We call it lift.
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 Yeah.
Ah,
I was
there
like,
it
is, yeah.
does
If
Uber
y'all
have
are
a
enjoying
flight?
Where's
this,
that
go check
womp
out the
womp
podcast.
sound
Yeah,
effect?
great.
Are you
You
a
have great
5-star
content.
general in your army?
This isn't indicative of what Venture Forth is like.
In
Is
no
it?
way,
no.
shape, or form.
All right, are we ready for question 4? All right,
Yes,
this is going to be
yes,
another PHP question.
Yes.
So we'll see what happens. But question 4: what are the recommended quick build ability scores when building a paladin in the PHB, the player's handbook? What are the
So these
I
are
know
these
this
are the
one.
two the book recommends 2 ability scores to prioritize as when you're building a paladin
Mhm.
in D&D.
Like, do you want the numbers
No,
or
just
like the
the,
abilities?
Which
which
ones
two
of the-
abilities?
which
so
of the 6
Yep.
do you think are the ones
strength,
You know it.
dexterity,
I know- yeah.
Owen knows
that?
this.
Intelligence.
I think I
Charisma.
know it.
Yeah.
Wisdom.
Wisdom,
I was
dexterity.
so I think
Which
the two
two, yeah.
are Constitution and Charisma.
Close.
It is strength and charisma.
Yeah, strength and
Oh,
charisma.
man.
Because they are typically that brute, but they
Yeah.
need charisma as their
Yeah.
casting ability and to do all their spells. But yeah, that's something we wanted to touch on
Oh.
too, is like
No.
you can build the character how they want it to be built or how they suggest, but you can also, the cool thing with D&D is that you can just do whatever you want. Like with
Yeah.
my character, the fighter,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure strength is normally what a fighter is built with, strength and con. But for mine, I wanted
Strength
to build
and
a
con,
dex character because he's a small little halfling, and he's just, in my mind, he's not the strongest of the bunch. So I kind of flipped that on its head, like we were talking about before. And that's the cool thing with D&D is you can kind of just do whatever you want. You can take what they suggest or throw it out the window and do something else. I think we built a friend of ours a rogue that was bad at dex, and it's
Yeah.
like that's going to be struggle, but it could be fun. Who knows?
when
Yeah,
we were
Yeah, I mean, you could do like a strength rogue and be like a
Right.
thug, right? Like just
Yeah.
like the typical,
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Sky's
thug.
the limit, and above that.
and
Well, I
around
mean,
it
that's
and
what's
below
great. I
around
mean,
it.
it's
it.
infinitely customizable. Yeah.
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 All right, you got another question?
Another question
I
coming
need- I
down
need to
coming
catch
down the
up.
pipeline. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're tied 2
Yeah.
to 2.
Or else I'm
We
spinning
have
the wheel
three-
next
three
week.
more for you guys.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Yeah, we wanted an odd number. So
Mhm.
this one's a little more general. So what fundamental rule of improv is also critically important to a fun and interesting Dungeons and Dragons campaign?
I know this one.
I think I know it.
All right, Brando, go
You
for
do
it.
know it?
I do know it, yeah.
It's the yes and.
It is.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
good job. That was awesome. I was worried about that one because it was kind of like
Which-
a little different, you know.
Well, you get into the acting thing. I've acted in high school and
Yeah.
stuff, and that's what, for anyone who doesn't know what that means. Yes, and is like when someone says this happens, you say yes, and I do this, or yes,
Yeah.
and you don't resist what other people are doing. You just lean into, and then
The
and then you
quickest
add
way
your
to
own thing to it.
stop creativity is say the word no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that's what D&D is all about, the yes and. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I also come from an acting background. So,
Yeah.
you know, we're just for
Wait,
No
did
big
you,
deal.
do you come back from an acting?
Mhm.
Acting? When did you act?
elementary school and junior high.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
In theater class?
Mm-hmm. Theater
didn't
class. I
know
was in
this.
plays. Yeah.
Yeah. Or were you like the Sugar Plum Fairy in the Christmas play? Is that what you're saying?
No, I was Mortimer in Arsenic and Old Lace. I
Oh.
was, I think that's Mortimer, this main character's name. Yeah.
Sure.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Okay. I'm impressed.
Hey.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's,
I was Tweedledee.
I think
In one other
it's
one,
a
yeah.
cool. I love yes and as a principle, but something that we talk about a lot as we were building Venture Forth was that the yes anding is it extends to kind of what we were talking about before with the loner character. There is a way to say no where you're still engaging, right? There is a way to be like, I don't want to be around here,
Yeah.
but you are very, very like apparently to your friends and fellow players engaging with the moment. And another expression we use a lot is pull the lever, which is like if your DM puts you in a room and there's a lever in there and you don't know what it does, pull that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
just go.
you gotta go.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
You say
I
yes
think
to the
with
lever.
I love
improv, the one thing that I was thinking about that you mentioned about the brooding character, and it's like an example that I just thought of, is saying yes and but still saying no is kind of like if you are that brooding rogue and you don't want to converse with, let's say, the paladin that's trying to interrogate or find out more about you, maybe you push away and you say no, but you describe maybe the paladin sees a tear coming down your cheek as you walk away, and that leaves open some like, wait, why was there that tear? Oh, okay, interesting. That opened up
Mhm.
something. That was technically a yes and because it was like you had a negative response to whatever the paladin said, but it still left open more to dig into.
Leaving little
Exactly.
breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ground
Yeah,
for
yeah,
story.
yeah.
All right. Well, good job on that
Yep,
one.
I
That
love
was
it.
awesome. You
Yeah.
guys both got that one.
Nice.
Thank
you.
All right.
Woohoo.
So this one might be a little bit
But
of
we're
a throw
still
up.
tied.
We'll
Yeah.
see. A little easy one for you guys. And it's apropos because what's the easiest class to play in Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh, I think I know this answer.
Oh man.
You-
Okay. I mean, that's a little subjective.
It's
It
a
is.
I
little
would say
bit, but
mechanically.
I think
is a good way to
generally
think about
agreed
it.
upon.
Generally, yeah.
Okay. All right. I know the answer then. If it's good, it's going to be
Do.
that.
Is it? Do you want me to go first?
There's one of two answers. Yeah, go for it.
I would say fighter.
It is barbarian.
We put barbarian.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
barbarian,
Oh,
as a base
no.
level, you just have rage, and fighters get
Mhm.
a lot of subclasses that you can dive into. With you can get magic, you have action surge, you have second wind, you get maneuvers if you choose.
I mean, Battle Master in and of
It's a
itself
whole
is a
page
very,
of stuff.
very
Yeah,
complex
it's insane.
subclass. Yeah.
So yeah,
Barbarian, you can just
generally
rage
barbarian.
Oh.
Yeah.
to level 20 and you're gonna still be a functional member of your party.
Yep.
But I think we wanted to touch on that because we think that even with the simplest class, we don't want people to think that like I don't want to get into D&D because it's too complicated. It's too complicated to figure out. I don't
Yeah.
understand how the rules work. And that I think nods on something that I think I said before was just like you don't have to worry about that as much. But if you feel overwhelmed, maybe don't play that wizard class. Maybe play a barbarian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with a whole book
Yeah,
of
and you don't have to deal with all the
spells.
spells. You just dive
It's
into something
overwhelming.
simple. But the cool thing is with D&D is that you can still play that very simple barbarian, but then on the role playing side of it, on the character creation side of it, like we're talking about, you can really dive in and make some like really good story that really like carries that character. And yeah, maybe you're only raging in combat, but when you're out of combat, maybe you're trying to figure out how to control that rage, and that could be a whole character arc.
I
Yeah.
actually, I did a character that I based off Jekyll and Hyde.
Mhm.
And he was a barbarian,
Yeah.
but when he was in his normal form, he was an alchemist.
Sure.
And we had like a whole stat
Very
block
cool.
for him. But when he raged, because he was technically a barbarian, it was then he went into his Hyde
Yeah.
form. And so like there's really cool elements like that you can, if your DM's willing to let you thematically use elements like
Yeah.
that, you can definitely incorporate into some better character backstory.
Well, I've heard of like barbarians being played like werewolves.
Yeah.
Like where they're like a fighter, but then when you rage, like raging is like you turning into your werewolf,
Werewolf,
form.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
And
I like that.
Sounds
Yeah.
neat.
I think that also nods on something that's really cool with the game as well. Is like, yes, there are rules that are written in the book, but you can play homebrew, which a lot like I started out playing from the book. I played Adventures League when I first started playing D&D, and now I only play homebrew. And it's just like so fun because it kind of just goes off of whatever the table and whatever the DM feels is the right call. And so that's another
Yeah.
big thing that I think we want to get across is like there are rules, but I guess as a Captain Jack Sparrow, kind of quote is like they're more like guidelines.
The more like
And speaking of movies, we do have one final question, Shane, if you want to take it away, that is based on a movie, technically. So here we go.
all right.
So we know the D&D movie is going to come out eventually. There's a lot of memes about how it got rescheduled because of scheduling conflicts, very much like a real D&D game.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. So have you guys? I'm assuming you guys have seen the trailer for it.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Very exciting stuff.
Oh yes.
Great trailer,
yes.
man.
So
I'm
good.
very
Black
excited.
Dragon,
yes.
freaking
Yeah.
amazing.
I was pleasantly surprised. I saw they were making a D&D movie. I was like, man,
Totally.
whatever. And I saw the trailer. I was like, what?
Yeah,
I cannot tell you how
Yes.
like I was so nervous, and then when the
Yeah,
trailer came out, I was
same.
like, oh, thank goodness,
Yeah.
it like, looks good.
Because the original one is so bad.
and
don't
what I like
speak
about
of
it too is even in the scenes with yeah,
Oh,
the-
yes, we do.
the chick that's playing the druid, they made the druid badass.
Yeah.
Like she's looking like she's not some like the
Oh, yeah.
typical like nature hippie
Yeah.
that a lot of people play druids. Like no, she's a fucking badass.
Hell yeah. So-
What is that called? An owl bear?
an oil bear.
Oil
So
bear.
you touched on this a little bit already, but can you list 4
All right.
classes that are represented in that trailer for the D&D movie?
Ooh.
Okay. Yeah.
So you got one for
Wait,
free. You got
I
have
already
this
know.
look.
I
You
already
have this
know.
look.
I already
three
know.
more.
I
Okay,
already
so we
know.
said Druid. That's one. Okay.
Okay. Here's your gimme.
Chris Pine plays a
Nice,
bard,
yeah.
Yes, he does.
which is so utterly perfect.
Oh yeah.
Very good.
Michelle Rodriguez is in
Yeah.
it
Mhm.
from Fast and the Furious.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure she plays a fighter.
Yes.
I
mean, that you could also say barbarian in that one because they haven't really shown exactly what she is.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
in the advertisement.
but they did mention in the trailer that
I think they did have like a list eventually that we looked.
Oh, did
Yeah.
they? Okay, yeah. So then
Oh,
definitely,
okay, so
then
you're
definitely
going up-
fighter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So well, and then there was a wizard in there because I think in the trailer they mentioned the guy there was one of the guys there who didn't get a lot of screen time in the trailer was a wizard. I think. That's what that's.
And there is a fifth character.
a rogue.
No,
I
Oh,
thought.
and do you know it?
Really?
I think he's a paladin,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, was there a wizard? Was I
There's
right
a
on that one?
sorcerer, I believe.
Yeah, I would give it to you on Wizard though.
I think
'cause,
so
like,
too. Yeah.
Aesthetics,
and,
same.
and Michelle
Yeah.
Rodriguez plays a barbarian, but
I believe it's a barbarian. Yeah,
It is a
I think
barbarian.
so.
Oh,
Oh, she
Yeah,
is. She is. Oh, okay.
yeah. Once the
You
movie
know.
comes
Hey,
out,
don't-
I does seem like a
quote us.
barbarian. Yeah, well,
It's-
yeah.
It's subjective though. So
Honestly, I'm most interested in Chris Pine's bard,
He
and
looks so
then
good.
the girl who is the druid.
The druid. Yeah.
Those two
The
look.
druid
I
looks
mean,
good,
Chris
too.
Pine is the perfect actor to be a bard too.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Oh,
so
and then he's the
glad.
group leader.
Yeah.
So what is it exactly you do? You make plans that fail.
Look, no matter what, it is going to be better than the 2000.
Right, we're
D&D.
safe in that.
Without a
one.
doubt.
No matter what.
if it ever releases,
Jeremy.
Yeah.
Jeremy.
I mean,
yeah,
without-
if it ever
without
releases,
some wood
The
there.
only issue with it is it doesn't have Jeremy Irons like the first one did. That's the only thing I'm going to say that the first one did
you
better.
know what? Jeremy Irons was also in the Aragon movie, and that's also another one of the worst adaptations of all
Oh, God,
time.
that's so bad.
Interesting.
What's wrong with Jeremy Irons? I want to have a conversation. with him.
Yeah, that's so sad.
All right, did we tie? Did we tie this?
No,
episode?
I gave us a point for that one each.
Okay.
Okay, so you got one more. Then?
Yeah.
Or did I get? Yeah,
So I got it is 5-4
Oh.
in my favor.
that was close.
All right, that's
I
fair
thought
enough.
you were gonna kind of knock out
Yeah.
the park Owen because of the knowledge, but that was good. Okay, like I feel better that we had a close game.
Oh,
I
thank
feel
you.
better we had a close game.
Yeah.
Yeah, you underperformed, Owen. So thank
No,
you.
that's
for
not what
that.
I was saying. No.
Oh, okay. Well,
I
in
was
that
more
case, I'm
saying,
taking
Brando,
2
I'm
points
proud
away
of
from
you.
Brando.
You get into like the improv and the acting and role playing stuff, and I'm with you,
Yeah.
buddy.
We-
I know.
we
that.
really,
Yeah.
you know,
I got
we
a stern
tried.
talking to from a lot of our friends and fans that I'm a little too strict when it comes to the point system,
Oh, sure.
especially against Brando. So
He's got a lot of feedback. I mean, honestly, like you guys had that was great trivia. We gave you a tough thing to like a big concept. And you guys have been fantastic. This has been great. I've had a fun time. You guys are hilarious. You're knowledgeable. You're fun.
Thank you.
And so tell us a little bit how to find you and tell us about Venture Forth.
Yeah.
So I'm Shane. That's Russ. We are both
Hello.
players and performers and creators of Venture Forth, a D&D podcast. We are available on all podcasting platforms, including YouTube. If you want to check us out on our website, we have ventureforthdnd.com, and you can follow that to whatever apparatus you would like to absorb our material on.
And a link will be in the show
Yeah.
notes
Oh,
as
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Including anyone that actually plays D&D. I do the TikTok. So if you want to see silly TikToks of me doing stupid stuff that's related to D&D,
Over the course of our podcast, Russ has become a TikTok master.
I have not. No, let's not say that.
It is crazy. He is so good at it.
It's fun. It's
Definitely
fun. I
check
have
that
fun
He's
with
an
it.
influencer.
But yeah, I love the podcast, and I think it's a great way for us to kind of tell a story that just we can have people be there with it. I think that we have a Discord that we have a lot of people that listen, and they're just in there chatting about it, and we live stream the episodes on YouTube, and it's just really fun to just like have that community to kind of share this story and just have people like
Hell
it.
yeah.
You know,
For a,
And as well, like Shane talked about a little bit, but I want to gush on you guys because like Shane does all like the audio engineering, like he said, and so it is very much if you're listening to it, it is kind of like listening to an audio novel. Like there's sound
Yeah,
effects,
it's
there's
good.
music. It's not just 7 friends playing D&D. It's very
With like
very
one iPhone in the
Yeah.
middle
yeah,
of them.
it's
not
very
that.
very well done. And
It's well produced. It's the quality's great.
Thank
It's
you.
it's fantastic.
Thank you, guys.
I'm
Thank you.
loving
yeah,
it. So
from launch, our goal
you guys are great. So
is to create an immersive experience. So thank you so much for saying that.
Nice. Well, all those links to these guys and to Venture Forth are going to be down in the show notes that anyone can click on. Also, you can check us out. We do a thing too, right?
Yeah, we have Instagram and Patreon and website. All those will also be in the show notes. The Instagram is Banter and Such Podcast. The Patreon is patreon.com/banner and such.
And we're proud members of the Helios Network, a collection of great podcasts made by regular people.
Yes, check us out at www.theheliosnetwork.com to see some of our other amazing podcasts like Master and Debaters.
Master and
It
Debaters.
is three familiar voices, Puck, Alex, and Spencer. They're three best friends that sit down and they debate soft topics with hard opinions.
Oh, and they
Oh,
are
God.
so witty and so funny.
I love it.
Like, is a hot dog a sandwich? Is coffee just hot soup?
I was in that episode.
Bean soup. Yeah.
I was in that episode, and they dismantled my world, like my whole identity.
Worldview.
I was so mad.
Yeah.
I couldn't keep up with them.
Yeah. Cats versus dogs. Is Christmas truly the greatest holiday of the year? Different things like that. They will officially be launching the second week of December. So if you're listening to this, we're only a few weeks away from them launching.
Nice. Well, I love you all, and thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of Banter and Such.
Next week, we are.
It's Jingle,
Oh my God! It's the
Jingle
start of
Sember.
Jingle Sember Spectacular.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to be getting into Brando's favorite time of the year,
Yeah.
my least favorite time of the year, because I am the Grinch between us two, and we're going to be talking about the most cozy Christmas movies of all time.
That's
Aw.
right. Well, I'm Brando.
And I'm Owen.
And until next time, may your week be filled with BS.